Most men walk into relationships with good intentions, yet many fail to see the subtle ways manipulation creeps in. At first, it's disguised as harmless tests, little emotional games, or requests that seem innocent. Over time, those small things start shaping how you behave, how you think, and even how you see yourself. If you ignore it, manipulation slowly becomes control. Women who lean into manipulation often don't do it because they're evil. They do it because it works on most men. And when something works, it gets repeated until it becomes a pattern. The truth is, if you don't spot it early, it will only grow stronger. You might not even realize how much of yourself you've handed over until it's too late. That's why identifying manipulation before it takes root is the most powerful move you can make. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. One of the first signs of manipulation is guilt tripping. A woman might make you feel bad for choosing something that benefits you, even if it's reasonable and fair. For example, if you want to hang out with your friends, she might act sad or throw out lines like, "I guess I'm not important enough." That's not communication. It's emotional blackmail disguised as love. Instead of respecting your independence, she tries to use your empathy against you. If you cave in to avoid conflict, you're reinforcing the pattern. The way to stop this is by calmly standing your ground. You don't argue, you don't justify, you simply hold your boundary with confidence. Over time, she'll either respect that strength or reveal that manipulation is her only language. Either way, you win because you refuse to be controlled by guilt. Another red flag is the use of silence as a weapon. It's one thing for someone to cool down after an argument, but it's different when silence is used to punish. She withdraws affection, stops talking, or creates emotional distance just to force you into chasing her. This is designed to make you feel insecure and desperate for her attention again. Many men fold quickly under this tactic, apologizing for things they didn't even do wrong. But here's the secret. Silence only has power if you chase it. The stronger response is to give her the space she's demanding, without bending. You match her silence with calm self-assurance. Soon, she'll realize her game doesn't work on you, and the power shifts back in your hands. Manipulation often hides under the mask of flattery and praise. Some women will build you up just to pull you down later. They'll say things like, "You're the only guy who really understands me." But when you slip up, suddenly, you're the worst person alive. This hot and cold cycle keeps you hooked because you're constantly chasing that initial praise. It's addictive, like a drug. You start working harder to win back the positive attention, not realizing you're being trained like a dog. To break this, you must stop attaching your value to her approval. Compliments feel good, but they shouldn't dictate your self-worth. When you know who you are, you stop being controlled by her emotional highs and lows. That's when the manipulation loses its grip. Financial manipulation is another trap many men ignore until they're deep in it. She might make subtle comments about how a real man should pay for everything. At first, it feels like chivalry, but soon it becomes entitlement. Suddenly, you're expected to cover her bills, buy her luxuries, and carry her responsibilities. And if you resist, she accuses you of being cheap or unmanly. But providing for someone is not the same as being drained by them. A high-value man sets financial boundaries early. He pays out of choice, not obligation. When you stop letting money be used as leverage against your masculinity, you protect yourself from one of the most common forms of manipulation. Another subtle manipulation technique is comparison. A woman might mention how her ex used to do things for her, or how her friend's boyfriend treats her. This isn't just a casual comment, it's a calculated seed to make you feel inadequate. The goal is to push you into competing with a ghost, trying to prove yourself. But the reality is, once you play that game, you've already lost. A man grounded in his value doesn't compare himself to anyone. He knows that if she truly wants what someone else has, she can leave and go find it. The moment you stop reacting to comparisons is the moment you break that chain. You show her that you won't be manipulated into chasing approval by measuring yourself against others. That unshakable calm is true power. Emotional manipulation often shows up as playing the victim. Whenever there's conflict, she suddenly becomes the one who's hurt, misunderstood, or oppressed. Even if she caused the problem, she'll twist the story until you feel like the villain. Many men fall into this trap because they don't want to be seen as the bad guy. But constantly apologizing just to keep the peace destroys your dignity. You end up taking responsibility for emotions that aren't yours to carry. The antidote to this is radical honesty. You acknowledge her feelings without letting them erase reality. You stay firm in truth, even when she tries to paint you as the enemy. That's how you break free from the victim narrative. Testing your boundaries is another classic form of manipulation. She'll push little by little to see how far she can go. Maybe she teases you in front of her friends or disrespects your time by showing up late. Each time you let it slide, you're training her that your boundaries don't matter. Over time, the disrespect grows. The only way to stop this is immediate enforcement. The first time a boundary is crossed, you address it calmly but firmly. You don't need to explode. You just make it clear that your standards are non-negotiable. A man who enforces his boundaries earns respect, while a man who avoids conflict loses it. And respect is the foundation of attraction. Another manipulation tactic is using intimacy as leverage. She withholds affection, intimacy, or sex to get what she wants. Instead of being an act of connection, it becomes a bargaining chip. This creates an imbalance where you're constantly working to earn intimacy. But here's the truth. Real intimacy can't be bought with compliance. If it comes with conditions, it's not love, it's control. A high-value man never begs for affection. He understands that his worth isn't tied to physical validation. By refusing to play that game, he forces her to either connect genuinely or expose her manipulation. That's how you protect both your masculinity and your peace. Gaslighting is one of the most dangerous forms of manipulation. It's when she denies your reality, twists facts, or makes you question your memory. For example, she might say, "I never said that, you're just overreacting," even though you know she did. Over time, gaslighting erodes your confidence in your own judgment. You start doubting yourself and relying on her version of the truth. This is psychological warfare, and it can break even strong men if unchecked. The defense is to trust your own perception and document patterns. When you know what you saw or heard, no amount of denial can rewrite it. Refusing to let anyone distort your reality is the ultimate act of strength. Love bombing is another form of manipulation that's easy to miss because it feels amazing at first. She showers you with attention, affection, and praise in the beginning. It feels like you've found the perfect woman, but soon, the intensity fades and she begins to demand more from you while giving less. You're left confused, wondering what happened to the woman who adored you. This cycle keeps you hooked, always chasing that first high. The way to beat this is to slow things down in the beginning. Don't let intensity blind you to consistency. Real love builds steady, while manipulation burns fast and then fades. Spotting the difference early saves you from heartbreak. Jealousy is another manipulation tool that often flies under the radar. Some women intentionally try to make you feel insecure by mentioning other men, flirting openly, or exaggerating the attention they receive. The purpose is to trigger your emotions and get you to compete harder for her approval. It's a power play disguised as attraction. Many men respond by overcompensating, becoming clingy, or showering her with validation to secure their place. But once you do that, she knows the button works, and she'll push it again. The antidote is emotional detachment. You don't compete, you don't beg, you don't fight for her attention. You let her play her game alone. When jealousy tactics stop moving you, she realizes she can't control you that way. That's when the balance shifts back in your favor. Time manipulation is another subtle but powerful trick. She might act like her time is more valuable than yours, showing up late or cancelling plans at the last minute. Meanwhile, if you even slightly inconvenience her, she treats it like a betrayal. This creates an unspoken hierarchy where you're always adapting to her schedule. But here's the truth. Respect for time is respect for the person. If she repeatedly disregards your time, she's testing whether you'll allow it. Many men stay quiet because they don't want conflict, but silence only reinforces the imbalance. You reclaim your power by valuing your own time equally. When you set expectations that both schedules matter, you break the cycle of one-sided respect. That's how you show you won't be manipulated through inconsistency. One of the most overlooked manipulation tactics is weaponized emotion. She might cry, scream, or act overly dramatic to shut down any discussion she doesn't like. This isn't vulnerability, it's performance designed to control the outcome. By creating a scene, she forces you into calming her down instead of addressing the real issue. Many men fold instantly, doing whatever it takes to stop the emotional storm. But once again, that only trains her to use it more. The key is to stay calm and not get pulled into the performance. You acknowledge her feelings but keep steering the conversation back to the point. When you refuse to reward drama with compliance, you strip the manipulation of its power. Over time, she realizes tantrums don't work on a man who stays centered. Future faking is another classic move. She talks about big plans for the future: travel, marriage, a family, or a dream life together. It sounds perfect, and it keeps you emotionally invested. But as time passes, you realize her actions don't align with her promises. She uses the vision of the future to excuse her lack of effort in the present. Many men stay hooked for years, waiting for those promises to materialize. But the truth is, consistency today is a better predictor than fantasies about tomorrow. If her actions don't match her words, the future she sells you is an illusion. To break free, you stop listening to promises and start observing patterns. That's how you separate real commitment from manipulation. Scarcity manipulation is another trick rooted in psychology. She acts like she's in high demand, always reminding you of her options or hinting that other men want her. The goal is to make you feel replaceable, so you work harder to secure her. This is a fear tactic designed to keep you chasing. But the truth is, a woman who truly values you won't constantly advertise her market value. Scarcity only works if you believe it. A grounded man understands that he is also rare, and he won't tolerate a partner who tries to control him through fear of loss. The moment you realize you're the prize, the scarcity illusion collapses. That's how you flip the frame and make her value you instead of the other way around. Manipulation can also come through the use of blame shifting. No matter what happens, somehow it always ends up being your fault. If she's upset, it's because you didn't do enough. If something goes wrong, you didn't pay enough attention. This constant shifting of responsibility wears men down until they accept blame as a default. But this is a trap designed to keep you under control. The truth is, healthy adults take accountability for their own actions. You break the cycle by refusing to carry weight that isn't yours. You calmly redirect responsibility back to where it belongs. When you stop accepting blame that isn't real, the manipulation loses its foundation. Manipulation can show up in social settings too. Some women will intentionally embarrass you in front of friends, making jokes at your expense to lower your value. At first, it might seem like playful teasing, but over time it chips away at your confidence. The goal is to make herself look dominant while you look weaker. Many men laugh along just to avoid awkwardness, not realizing they're training her to keep doing it. The correct response is calm but firm pushback. You don't need to get angry, but you set the tone that public disrespect is not acceptable. A man who defends his dignity without overreacting gains respect. That's how you stop social humiliation from being used as control. Another tactic is isolation. She subtly distances you from friends, family, or hobbies under the guise of love. Why do you need to hang out with them when you have me? At first, it feels flattering, but soon you realize your world has shrunk. Now, she has more control because your entire focus is on her. This leaves you vulnerable and dependent. But a strong man never gives up his connections or passions for anyone. To stop this manipulation, you maintain your independence no matter what. You protect your network, your purpose, and your sense of self. That way, you can love her without losing yourself. One of the final forms of manipulation is using love itself as leverage. She might say things like, "If you really loved me, you'd do this for me." This weaponizes your affection and turns it into a bargaining tool. But love is not proven through obedience. Real love is shown through mutual respect and understanding. The moment you start proving your love by betraying yourself, you've already lost. The way to stop this is to redefine love as freedom, not control. You show her that love means choosing each other willingly, not under pressure. That's how you take back your power and create relationships built on authenticity, not manipulation.